everybody, welcome back, or welcome if you are new. I'm Tamara. Today we're going to do one of my very popular requests. We're going to do a what we eat in a day, what I eat in a day. Right now it is just me home. Luke is out working. He's over the road. And I had the night off, and Winston's still not home yet. He stayed the night with his Gammy, and he should be home later sometime. So I'm going to make some avocado toast for myself. That sounds so good. I made some homemade bread, so I'm excited to make some avocado toast. And then later on, whenever he gets home, I'll show y'all supper. And if there's, anything else we eat between now and then. But after I fix my lunch, we're going to sit down and I'm going to chit chat with you guys a little bit about my new relationship with food and kind of, how things have been going, how things are going. And because I've been having a lot of questions about it. A lot of people are asking, how have you lost this weight? What did you do? Like, what are you doing? And so I thought we would sit down and chit chat a little bit about that today. But let's go ahead and cook some lunch because I'm hungry. This is just avocado oil. I use this a ton. I honestly go through about a bottle a week. I use it in baking recipes and, just everyday cooking. Okay, so I'm gonna let that toast up, and then I'll cook me an egg. I wish I had some bacon, but I don't have any bacon, so I would have bacon with this. Okay, I got my lunch. Avocado toast. It's one of my favorites, y'all. And I accidentally broke my yolk. I have really been loving runny yolks lately. I don't know what it is. Luke was like, why did you change? Because I used to not like runny yolks. I was like, I don't know. But the richness is just so good. So I'm kind of sad. I broke my yolk. But we'll see maybe if there's still a little bit. But y'all can have lunch with me today. Like, it literally looks like y'all are having lunch with me. So y'all go get you a snack. And we'll eat. And then we'll chit chat. It's still runny. So I do the toast, avocado, On the avocado, I like putting salt, pepper, and everything but the bagel seasoning. And then, and then I fry my egg, and I do salt and pepper on my egg. And then I did Colby Jack cheese this time. And then I do a little bit more of the everything seasoning just on the top. Okay, so how things have changed for me and my family. So part of, if you're new here, I started my mental healing journey 2023. And with that, I, was fueling my body with what made me feel good. And so that started, the whole getting back into the kitchen, really looking into everything, realizing the amount of crap that is in the stuff that you buy from the grocery store. Which I feel like for me personally, I think that kind of started too when we went dye-free with Winston. So Luke and I choose, which this is my channel. Luke and I choose what we talk about, what we don't talk about. And Winston, we don't just, go get on here and chat about him. But we decided to go dye-free. He was having some problems in school, and we were, just discovering some behavioral issues and stuff like that. And so I feel like he kind of, helped me jump into that, the start of that, before my healing journey, because that was kind of that year before, was him. So we, that's when I started really kind of looking at the ingredients that was in the food, because we started cutting out the dyes and, becoming, we say dye free as possible because, we know that it's not going to be 100%. But, that kind of started there. And then when I started my healing journey, and really changing my lifestyle for me personally, where I'm the one that cooks, I was able to be in the kitchen and just kind of change that lifestyle for all of us. And so, I started prioritizing cooking more from scratch, eating more ingredients based. We cut out a ton of processed foods, which I've said this before. We, still enjoy life. We still enjoy treats. And I'm not gonna go to somebody's house and not eat because, they don't cook the way that I do. This is just based off, our household. It's not, we didn't just completely cut everything out, but we were making those healthier choices. And, honestly, just cutting out the processed, for realness, cutting out the processed foods has been a game changer. Making the homemade stuff here, like the homemade swaps with me, I'm making my own spaghetti sauce, my marinara sauce. I'm making my homemade cream and mushroom soup. I'm, making homemade dry mixes. I don't buy the box mixes anymore of the cake mixes, the muffin mixes, hamburger helpers, the meal kits. I don't buy any of those anymore. I make everything here, for us. And like I said, if, we go somewhere or, we're out and about, Winston gets stuff at school, it's all in moderation. It's what, this is just inside my household, but we do try to make, better and healthier choices. But that was honestly cutting out the process. When you start diving in to the rabbit hole of how bad our food system is, it will really make you, think about it. Because when I started that, I wasn't on a diet. I worked out, but I worked out when I felt like it, like for my mental health. If I, was having a rough day, I'd get up and, go do yoga and this and that. Like, I didn't have like no workout routine. I didn't exercise like all the time. Like, I just did it for fun. And so for me, that was the biggest thing, was just eating cleaner, prioritizing protein. That's another one. Like, sometimes if Winston has leftovers, like say, from the night before and Luke's home, and it's just, me and him needing to figure out something to eat, Winston will eat the leftovers and Luke and I will just cook protein. Like, we've changed a lot on how we eat, how I cook, and it's been great. Now, of course, Luke's a little bit different, where he is over the road, where he's an over the road truck driver. He does have to eat out more. But whenever he's home, I cook, and I, try to prioritize those things. Now, a couple things that I will never give up, even though, I try to be more ingredients based and eat better, is bologna. I love bologna. I will never give up bologna. And I know that the store-bought lunch meat and that stuff is not good for you, but there's just some things, and that's just one of them things that I will never give up. And fountain Dr. Pepper. I love fountain Dr. Pepper. So, like, if we go out and eat, or, if I'm, run into the gas station, like, if I want it, I'll get me a Dr. Pepper. But it's all in moderation. I'm not going out every single day and getting a Dr. Pepper, or I'm not going to the coffee shop, every single day and getting a chai tea latte that's, packed with all kinds of processed ingredients. Like, I still enjoy things, and I still have my treats, but I do it very limited. Like, it's moderation. I listen to my body. My body tells me, how I should eat. My body also tells me when I eat something crappy. Honestly, it does. If I have, like, say we're busy a couple days and, we did have to eat out more, like, cause that's one of the hard parts about being out of town now. There's times where we are in town, having to do something during a mealtime. And so, we do have to eat out. And when we eat out, we still make those better choices. Like, sometimes I'll get a burger and I'll eat the bun. Sometimes I'll get a burger and I won't eat the bun. It all depends on what I had that day, or what I had within the whole week. Or, like, if I'm just kind of feeling, if I'm already feeling crappy. Because that's one of the things, like, I've noticed that when, like I said, when I do eat out, or, eat the not so good for me stuff, that my body will tell me. It'll be like, you're feeling like crap here. I will. And another thing, which is something that I told my sister-in-law this, because we were talking about, she was asking about deodorant, because I use that Crystal. She was asking about that, and I said that, I don't have any body odor or anything with that. I had to detox, of course, whenever I first started it, but I've been using it for probably well over a year and a half, I don't even know. Anyways, but I told her that if I go, a couple days and not eat good, I don't prioritize that, I can smell in my body odor. And then, I go a couple days, eat better, eat cleaner, and it goes away. And that's what's funny, because, like, you don't realize until you dive in to, or change this life, like, try to eat more ingredients based, it changes. It changes your taste buds. It changes, what you eat. Luke will always laugh at me. He's like, I'm so mad that you, it's the ice maker. He said, I'm so mad that you ruined store-bought bread for me. Or there was something else, like some kind of candy that had like a bunch of dyes or something, like stuff that, he used to eat. He said, I can taste it now. He said, I can taste the artificial color. I can taste the artificial flavor. He said, and it's terrible. He said, and you ruined my bread, because when I started down this rabbit hole making stuff, I was like, I'm not buying bread anymore. If you want store-bought bread, you're gonna have to buy it yourself. Like, I'm not spending it. I'll make it. Like, I make her own bread, I make her own buns, and yes, there's times that we buy it because, I didn't have time to make it. Like, we'll buy it, and like Luke and I will just eat like a burger or whatever without a bun, but then we buy it, that way Winston can have one. Like, it just depends. Like I said, we're not doing without. We just try to make those better choices. And he was like, I used to love that Wonder Bread. He said it was so soft and it was good. He said, and now it tastes like crap. It's so funny. He, sometimes he'll be like, but it does. Your taste buds change. Like, stuff that I used to love to eat, I don't like it anymore. It just tastes it doesn't. Even fast food, honestly, like I said, we do have to eat out sometimes. Like, I'm not, I don't pack lunches just to go to town. And so, we'll eat out, and it's just, it doesn't hit. Like, how, like, you would crave these places and you would go and you'd be like, yes, this is so good. It doesn't hit anymore. It doesn't. Like, Luke cooked when he was home this past time. He had cooked. He had smoked chicken thighs, and he smoked a pork loin. And I was like, this is so good. Like, all it was smoked chicken, and I cooked some sweet potatoes with it. And it was so, like, I don't know, just, I don't know. Things have changed. Our, lifestyles changed. The way that, I cook, the way that we eat is all different. But we still enjoy things. We still enjoy life. And like I said, I ain't gonna turn nobody's food down. If somebody makes something, and they send it to me, I'm gonna eat it and I'm gonna enjoy it. But, like, as far as my household itself, I do try to be, more ingredients based. But y'all have seen my pantry. Y'all see what we have. There's still packets of ramen noodles in there because Luke, might have a pack every now and then. And Winston's a kid. And, like, stuff that I personally don't like making, I don't love making crackers. I haven't tried pasta yet. I keep saying I'm going to, and I just haven't tried making it yet. Which I have I have a tote in the basement from our food storage still that's, like, full of pasta. So, like, I'm kind of just dwindling through that first, dwindling that first. But, like, stuff like that, but that's another thing. Okay, this video is going to end up being long. But that's another thing. When I buy those things from the grocery store now, I'm reading the ingredients. Checking the labels. And, like, another thing is, like, when I am in the store and I'm looking at a label of something, I'm reading the ingredients. I'm not checking the calories. I'm not checking, I'm not checking none of that. Like, when I look at a package of something, I'm looking at the ingredients. I don't care. I don't count calories. And one of my toxic traits, or whatever you want to call it, is if it is from scratch, it ain't got no calories. It doesn't. I don't feel guilty about it because I know it's in it. I made it, and that has been my motto since I've started this whole thing. If it's home, if I make it here and it's from scratch and ingredients based, it ain't got no calories, so I can enjoy it. Read the ingredients, but there's still times that we might need something, and I don't want to make it, I will buy it. But I have, favorite brands now of stuff that does have cleaner ingredients that we finally found that we like. And, so I'll pick up that if I don't want to make it at home. Like, I'm still, I'll still buy stuff from the store. I'll still buy, some convenience foods from the store, but it's better. I'm picking the better product in the store, you know what I'm saying, versus the other option that you could have. I'm checking the ingredients, making sure that it's decent ingredients, good for you stuff, and that's what I'm going to buy. Am I paying more for it? Yes. My opinion on eating more ingredients based, I do feel like it can be cheaper. But if you're going to buy the stuff because you don't want to make it, you're going to have to pay for it. That's my thoughts on that. Because, you know, those boxes of crackers that I like buying, if I get them at Walmart, they're like $5 a box for a box of crackers. So, you know, you're going to pay for, you know, you're going to pay for those better quality, you know, things in the store because you're not choosing to make it at home. Like I said, I don't like making crackers. So I choose to spend the $5 unless sometimes I can get them at the salvage store and they're like $2, $3. So I do like getting them from there when I go to the salvage store because they're, you know, they are cheaper and we do like them. But if I can't find them there, then I do have to pay that full price. What was the other thing I was going to say? Oh, Winston. So now that, which I mentioned this in a recent video, you know, now that I have changed my, you know, eating and I have a healthier relationship with food, you know, now it's my job to teach that to Winston. You know, that's my job to, you know, do that for him. But it's harder, I feel like, which I talked to one of my friends about this. This one friend has 2 younger kids and then she has an older son. And she's kind of she's doing the same thing, changing how they eat, you know, eating more ingredients based, you know, cutting out the dyes and doing stuff. And she said she's noticed how it's harder for her oldest than her youngest because, you know, her youngest, you know, they don't have that established relationship. You know, they, you know, like the older ones, like Winston, you know, like if, you know, he's used to the Cheez-Its, you know, he was used to, you know, all these junky, you know, all the crap, you know, like he was used to that. And so, you know, there's times where we go into stores and he's like, can I please, you know, like, please have this? Can I, you know, get a box of this? And, you know, she was talking about that, how that's kind of the same sense with, you know, her oldest, you know, that's how he is, you know, like he's used to those things. And, you know, so it's kind of hard to, you know, change their mindset. But with her youngest, it's easier because she's just, you know, here's what you eat, you know, like she's building that from them young, you know, their healthy relationship with food. And so that's been a little bit difficult. That's why we talked about it with Winston, is because, you know, he's so used to that, you know, he was used to that stuff. He was, you know, used to me just buying whatever, you know, all the processed foods, you know, like, and so, you know, he's doing really good now. But now it's my job that it's my job to show him how to do these things and, you know, show him what can fuel his body and, you know, teach him that whole ingredients is, you know, better for you. It affects your body. It affects your mind. It affects your, you know, physical appearance, you know, like it, you know, it completely changes everything. Like I said, it affects your body odor, you know, like, and so that's my job now, is I am, you know, teaching him how to do those, you know, what good food is. But then, you know, if, you know, we go into a store and he wants, you know, a box of Cheez-Its or, you know, every now and then, which now that he's in school, he doesn't go. In the summer months was a lot harder, you know, because he was home and he was going to the store with me. But one of the things is I would look for, you know, those healthier options, you know, the store-bought options, and see if that's a good switch up for him. Because another thing, he's really picky. He has a lot of food sensitivities. And it's hard. Like textures is a big one for him, which I was the same way. Like it's weird for me sometimes because like I like avocado now. I like vegetables now. You know, I eat cottage cheese. You know, like there's a lot of foods that I would have never touched and I eat them on the daily or weekly now, you know, like, but that's something that I'm building and I'm growing in him. So like I said, even when we go into the stores and I'm like, hey, let's try this option because this is the ingredients that's in it versus these yucky ingredients, you know, but we, also talk about how important it is to have that moderation and, to still have the treats and, but you're not going to sit down and eat, a whole box of, that box of Cheez-Its or, something like that. You're going to do it in moderation, or say we buy like a smaller amount of it. We buy like a little box, which that's one of the things, like if we go into Dollar Tree, I do like that because Dollar Tree has like, smaller portions of things. So like if he sees a snack or something, like it's not, a huge crazy deal because, it's just a smaller portion. So he gets to enjoy that treat that he remembered. But it's not something that I'm going to keep in my pantry all the time, But like, we still buy those things. And like I'll buy Winston like a case of Sprite. And he knows that I'm only buying that one case a month. So he's going to have to divide those 12 cans out throughout the month. And another thing is, which I was talking to Luke about this because he said something about something being in the pantry. He was like, why is there just some random, I don't even remember what it was, some random something in here? And I was like, because Winston said that he wanted to buy it because he wanted it, and then he took a bite, and that was it. Because it's, the same way with us, like Luke and I, like your taste buds changed, the foods that you like changed. So like he's also realizing like those used to be his favorite things, but he doesn't love them as much anymore. So, I'll be like, yeah, you can get that little, that little box of that, you can have that as your treat. And then half the time it sits in there. Like, like he doesn't even eat it all. It just sits. And like I used to have, if you've been here a while, I used, to have a pantry full. Like we used to have like 4 snack bins full of just, processed snacks, like just constantly we would have those and I would have to refill them. Now, like we snack on cheese sticks, we snack on fruit, we eat a lot of apples, bananas, we eat a lot of popcorn, like just, that stuff has just changed so much. And so that's something that he is getting used to, because before he would just run to the pantry when he wanted something to eat. And now he's like, hey, Mom, what can we fix? I'm hungry. What snack can we make? He's like, can we have some popcorn or, cheese stick or, like he goes straight to the fridge or, asks me for fruit or something, so that's been a huge difference too. But it didn't happen overnight. That's another thing. If this is something that you are, something that's been on your mind, something that you've been really passionate about, I say do it, but don't rush into it. Switch one thing at a time. That's one of the things, I did because, I used to have a huge prepper pantry. It's dwindled down now. We're all broke around here just trying to afford everyday groceries. But, I've still been canning and, restocking stuff that way. But like I used to have, like a stockpile of those boxed hamburger helpers. I used to have a stockpile of all the cream soups and those prepackaged rice mixes and, just those snacks. Like I used to have all that stuff. I would have, we would go to Sam's Club and we would stock up on all that stuff in bulk. And, like we don't do that anymore. But what I did where we had all that stuff, I just slowly went through it. And once I ran out of something, then I would switch. I would try to work on finding a homemade version that we liked, which that was another thing that was a lot, in my opinion. And that's one of the things why I recommend doing it slow. If you're going to switch, to more ingredients based and cutting out the processed stuff, is do it a little at a time. Like I said, when something runs out, find a homemade swap for it. Or if you're about to be low on something and you don't want to buy that again, start finding homemade swaps. Because some swaps that some people might like, you might not like. Because like there's a lot of different things that I've had to kind of play around with on, how we'd like it. Because it is so different. It's not like the store-bought. It's not like the stuff that you might be used to now. So you're going to have to play around with it. You're going to have to find what swaps that work best for your family. you have to be patient and you have to give yourself a lot of grace. And don't get overwhelmed, because it can definitely get overwhelming really easy. Like I said, like if you like just go and stand in front of your pantry, like it could be a lot. Like, and I don't recommend just going and pulling everything out and throwing it all away. Like you spent your money, and right now, especially in this economy, please don't throw that stuff away. Like eat it, and then once it's gone, you swap it. I have done that with, our hygiene products. I have done that with, I'm still doing it. Like there's still stuff that, I'm working on going through, and then we're going to swap. Like it's, I'm not throwing this stuff away. Two, you can always like make a list. Like look in your pantry right now. And if you have certain things that you want to start with those things. You may still have some in there. You may still have, those ingredient or those processed things that you can use. But if it's something that you want to swap, just pick like 2 things, do 2 things a week. And then, practice. If you find the homemade swaps that you love, then, once you're out of the other, then switch to that and use it. Honestly, that's been one of the biggest things, in my opinion, is making those homemade foods convenient. Making those homemade swaps, doing, the, pantry mixes and, like stuff like that. Like that's been one of the biggest things. And which I just said this recently, that my home canned cream and mushroom soup, that is a Rebel canning, Amish canning recipe, but it has been one of my favorites because we did use a lot of the cream soups. We ate a lot of casseroles with cream soups in it, with yucky other ingredients, and now I can easily just pull that out of the pantry and have a cream soup, and I know what's in it. I made it, and it's delicious. It's one of my favorites. But honestly, that's been one of the biggest helps, I feel like, is making those swaps convenient for me to be able to provide these, homemade and from scratch meals and snacks and, food for my family, because I'm not just making everything from scratch as I'm doing that one meal. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm prepping ahead, I'm stocking stuff up, which that is one of the sad things about being in the camper now, is because I do have to make a lot more things like as I need it, because I don't have the storage. I don't have, the big deep freezers like I have, like being able to go ahead and prep ahead, like the pizzas and the pre-cooked protein, the meatballs, like having a lot of those things. I used to, meal prep muffins and pancakes and like do all that stuff. Like I had all that stuff convenient for me, just like I would just run to the store and buy a box of pancakes or buy a bag of meatballs. I made it and just had it ready to go. I made french fries, like I had all that stuff. So now that is a little bit difficult where we are in this lifestyle right now, being in the RV. Like that's just an adjustment for us personally, but that was one of the biggest things, one of the biggest helps when I first started, was making that homemade from scratch convenient for me, because I took the time one day and prepped up a bunch of stuff and had it ready to go. That way, for mealtime I could just go to the freezer and pull out that frozen bag of meatballs and throw in a home can of sauce, and I would make some buns, and then we would literally have a homemade meal that took me minimal effort at that mealtime, because I took the time to prep it ahead of time and had it from scratch, and it's ready to go now. That was one of the biggest things for me, switching and making those store-bought convenience foods at home. That way I could still provide the same meals, and but I was making it, and I knew what ingredients were in it. That was a big one. A big one for me. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. So yeah, that's how I lost my weight. I'm still 80 pounds down. This year, which we're already in November, this year I was just doing me. like doing the same thing. I haven't lost any more weight, but I also haven't gained any more weight. I've just stayed steady. So I'm still down my 80 pounds, and you're still making choices. Still, we're still eating out, still living life, doing the things, but we're, picking and choosing what we want to eat, what's important. What's going to fuel our body. So, like, if I go to Popeyes, if I get the blackened tenders, like, I know that I can eat that, feel okay, and not, because when I would get the other, it just would make you feel like crap. Like when I eat Cane's, it just once you puff up and you're all bloated and you feel like crap. But I'm still going to go and enjoy Cane's, once a month. Try to eat better, like I try to eat cleaner. But we're still going to, eat out. But if you haven't tried the Popeyes blackened tenders, they're very good. Okay. I think I said everything. This is already like 40 minutes long. Oh gosh. Well, whenever Winston decides to come home and we cook supper tonight, I will show y'all what we're having for supper. We do have some leftovers in the fridge. So what I think we're going to do is kind of just like fend for yourself, which that still means me cooking him something and me cooking myself something. But I think with the leftovers in the fridge, he can have something and I can have something. That way we both can use up the leftovers. And, that way that helps clean the fridge out. But I'll bring y'all back later. I need to check in on him and see if he's ready to come home yet. It is supper time, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Like I said, we're doing leftovers. We're just going to do like a leftover makeover here. And I was still trying to keep it more like, single serving portion size because I didn't want to have a bunch of leftovers of these leftovers, you know what I'm saying? So for Winston, he's just going to have a quick pasta. I have got a little bit of hamburger meat there. I had like literally just a little bit, added that in. That was, cooked and seasoned, and I think I had some onions in that as well. I normally chop up onion or I add like dried onion flakes when I'm cooking my hamburger meat. And then I had some marinara sauce. I had just made a bunch and home canned it, and I had some of that in the fridge because there wasn't enough like to fill up a full jar to process in the canner. So I just put that in the fridge, so I needed to use it. And then I also added in a little bit of stock, just enough to kind of loosen that up. That way the pasta could cook in with it, just so I could save dishes and make this a one pot quick meal for him. I ended up adding a half a cup of pasta. I just used like the cut up spaghetti noodles, but of course you can add any kind that you want. And then I just let that cook, until the pasta is cooked through. One of the good things about the meat already being cooked and the pasta being like small, it did not take long to fix this at all. While his pasta's cooking, I'm going to go ahead and get started on mine. Honestly, had no clue what I was going to make, but I knew I had the mushrooms. I have some onion in the fridge that I needed to use, and then Luke and I like to grill chicken once a week to have for meal prep, and so I had some chicken in the fridge as well that needed to be used. So I kind of just used that as the base and did like a cream sauce with it. Now, of course, I could have added pasta to this, but I just wasn't feeling pasta tonight. Pasta was one of those things that I used to eat like multiple days a week, and I loved it. I craved it, but now I don't. Now I like, it's weird, really weird how I don't crave pasta anymore. I have to be in the mood for it, and I just wasn't in the mood for it this night. So I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of avocado oil to my electric skillet and let that heat up. And then I'm going to add my onions in, let those cook down. And then when those are cooked to my liking, I'm going to add the mushrooms in, let those cook down. And then I did add in some minced garlic. I used what I had left. I need to run to the grocery store. But I had that, and then I just seasoned this with some like a garlic and herb seasoning that I had picked up at a local spice, well, not local to me, but when I went and visited my grandparents, a local spice shop there, I used some of that and just kind of let all that cook. And then once those veggies were cooked to my liking, I cut up the chicken and added the chicken in and let that heat through. And then all I did after that was I added a little bit of heavy cream, and then I didn't feel like shredding any cheese, so I just used what cheese I had left. Normally I would just add Parmesan to this for more of like the Alfredo vibe, but I added in some Colby Jack. But nonetheless, this was so good. I actually ended up eating this on some homemade garlic bread. I did end up making homemade garlic bread, and I ate this on top of the bread, and it was so good. Delicious. It is funny though, like I said, how I just don't crave pasta anymore, because this was delicious. It was so simple, and I got so full. I couldn't even finish this all. It was so good. But the old me would feel like I had to have pasta, but now the new me, I don't need it. We both wanted a late night snack before bed. We were sitting down watching a movie. Winston asked for popcorn, so I thought I would show you guys how I make that. I've just got 1/4 of a cup of popcorn kernels. I'm adding that into that paper bag. I'm going to do a drizzle of some avocado oil, and then I'm going to add about a full teaspoon of salt. Of course, play around with the salt. How much your family likes or how much you need. And then for putting it in the microwave, I put it on for 2 minutes, but I always just listen to it and, kind of go by the feel of that. And I normally stop it around 25 to 30 seconds before the timer goes off, and that seems to do good. We don't like burnt popcorn. That always smells up the house. So I always stop it a little bit early. And I decided to have a bowl of cereal, but that's it. I hope y'all enjoyed this realistic what we eat in a day, plus talking with you guys a little bit. I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye, friends.